Hello, welcome to Staring Down the Storm, Autism Advocacy in America. I'm your host, Tabitha Ziegler. All right, everybody, we're back. So, Ellerie, we were discussing the multiculturalism and diversity of the U.S. and how it benefits us, basically.
Mm-hmm. Yes, definitely something that I believe in, and just have experienced through my time in the military. Is that together we're better, right? Together we're better.
Together we're better.
And really, as my lived experience is my lived experience, and I know that it's been a good one, but through moving 38 times, having experienced many different homes, spending some time in the military, and now recently going through my master's program with University, and the people that I have met through there, it just continues to really bring to light how beautiful it can be when we all get curious about those lived experiences, when we understand and can become aware of our own blind spots. Mm-hmm. When it comes to lived experiences, we don't know. And being willing to have hard conversations, right? And to be open to new perspectives. It's hard, right? It hits our egos. It hits our egos. Ego, we all have them, right?
Sure.
If anybody out there says they don't have an ego, well then,
you're a liar.
Then your ego's mocking. So, it hits our egos, and so those conversations are hard to have, and it is challenging to be open, and especially when you get triggered by something, right? Triggered by a wound, or triggered by a lived experience, or something from your past, and so it can be hard to overcome those things. And so I have them too, right? I have unconscious biases that I don't know. I have blind spots that I'm not aware of, but we can continue to have the conversations and just be 1% more open than we were, yesterday. Then okay, let's keep talking, right? Let's keep talking. Let's keep understanding ourselves. Let's keep understanding each other. And hopefully through that curiosity, right? Curiosity, I swear it's key. Through that curiosity, can we learn and become more connected and have a better understanding of how to move forward, right? Continue to move forward. Yeah. We're going to stumble. We're going to fall. That's okay. Yeah. Let's get back up and be better. It just continues.
Well, something that my grandpa used to say, that, that man, he just always had those little jewels of wisdom, and I think that he got pulled from school when he was in about 8th grade, which was somewhat normal back then because he had help on the farm. And so if I remember correctly, he only had about an 8th grade education. And it just goes to show anyway that wisdom is not always necessarily born through schooling. Sometimes it is, but more so through the connections, right? Mm-hmm. So my grandpa always said he'd pound this into our heads. Everyone has something to teach you.
Yeah.
And I think that's true, especially when you go into different cultures. If you walk into a situation or if you walk into a room, automatically thinking there will be someone there to teach you. There will be someone there to be some sort of a mentor. That's valuable. And I think that's especially valuable in the military. Like I was speaking to one of our reps recently. Him and I were talking. I think probably at the core, we have a lot of views that are very similar. We may not have some others, but we agreed on this. Nobody really wants to hit the red button. Like, I don't want to be responsible for hitting the red button. Let's do everything we can in advance of ever having to push the red button.
Mm-hmm.
So I think this podcast and some of the things that I'm doing, that is my effort. If I see fire, if I see the potential of fire, I'm going to do everything in my power to prevent that or to prevent it spreading. So because I didn't serve in the military, like, this is my effort to give back to my country. This is my effort to, like, make my grandfather proud, because flat out, he would just, a lot of this stuff, he'd be like, this is bullshit. And I think there's a lot of those types of generations, a lot who are gone now, that served in World War II, that served in Korea, that some that even served in Vietnam, that are no longer here to speak for themselves.
Mm-hmm.
But those of us that still have the memories of those people and know what they would say, it is now our obligation to root that for these kids, for me to be an example to my own children, to my nieces and nephews, to say, no, this is wrong. Like, I'm not right about everything. People are faulty.
Yep.
But there will come a period in your life when you have to stand for something, where you have to draw a line, when you know things are wrong. And when you know things are wrong, you have an obligation to speak up, not just for yourself, but especially for those that follow, especially for those that don't know better yet.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we're at this pivotal point right now where, maybe unfortunately, right? Like, I don't think anybody necessarily wanted to be that generation. I think if you ask most of us, we would not have said, oh yeah, sign me up. Like, there's this stuff that's going to happen in the future that's going to be horrible, that you're going to be put at a line where you may have to decide between friendships, between, maintaining familial relationships, to do what you think is right,
Yep.
to do what you think is right for the future, for the kids, for the country, for your community, like whatever that looks like for you. I think we're here. But we're here at this hard line. And I tell people all the time, I never wanted to be here. I never wanted to be put in this position, but I'm also one that can't look away.
Yeah.
If I see the fire, I know that it's there.
Yes.
And then the only option then is to combat it and contain it.
Mm-hmm.
Thoughts?
My thoughts are just simple, like, there is an innate knowing within us humans about what is right and what is wrong, for the most part, right? And one of the things, I'll speak for myself, is I've been in all of these transitions. I was focusing on school. I was getting ready to move. I was building out what I thought would be an impactful and influential foundation for a coaching business. I was working through my hospitality business, Single Seeds days. I was, focused on all these things. And what kept nagging me in the back of my head was, there's these things happening in the world and you're uninformed. And it kept nagging at me. It kept nagging at me. Because one thing that I do know is that to just turn your back to the fire, you're still going to get burned.
Mm-hmm.
You're just not going to see it coming. And so I kept asking myself, what is it that I can contribute to the world? And when DE&I is threatened, right? Is being attacked. When businesses are kneeling those things that are not right. You know, obviously we're in a capitalist society, so businesses need to make money, but innately, like we just talked about it, DEI is what makes our country a beautiful thing, right? We're better together. So when I was thinking about like, oh my gosh, what is it that I can contribute? But I'm not informed. And I was having this kind of struggle within myself because I knew being ignorant of it and not doing something wasn't right, right? It wasn't, it's not okay now. And I will never forget one of my professors said, you're a coach. Go coach people through these hard times. What you're giving to them is a place to come and work through their own struggles. And so that really stuck with me. I was like, okay. And with that, my motivation to become more informed, my motivation to overcome some of my blind spots, my motivation to speak out and bring a positive message, to a more connected message, a more inclusive, like you said, a more inclusive message, kind of erupted. And then we started working together, and then you invited me here, and I was talking to a mastermind group that I'm in, and I came on and I said, I'm nervous. I'm nervous about this message. I'm nervous about being a white woman talking about these things. I'm nervous about how it might be perceived. And I got so much support. And so like with that foundation, like my ability to contribute to a cause formed and I had more clarity around it. So it doesn't necessarily need to look one way or the other, which is what I was getting stuck in. And so I guess that's like where I can hopefully maybe encourage those who do listen, like find how you can contribute. It doesn't have to look one way or another. But it's not, but don't not contribute. Double negative there, right? But find a way. Find a way. And this is the beginning of my way. And coaching is part of that journey for me to help people get through these times and to bring a connective, a place of connection, and a place of curiosity and a place of clarity. So those are my thoughts.
Well, you know, I think that there are those of us that are maybe digging deeper than others because we see the necessity in it. And I think there is this question that is reemerging of sort of, what is our responsibility to each other? We have these CEOs and these billionaires now that we've seen show very subhuman types of characteristics, especially in the way that they run their businesses. And we've seen for a while, you know, there's a widening gap, as there has been for some time. But there's a widening gap between the rich and the poor. And it seems somewhere along the way, part of American culture has been morphed in a negative way. That was not how it was, or not how we sought out to be. Because we know that communities take people, and it takes investing in communities to make those communities flourish. So we've seen examples like in the Golden Age, I think they call it the Golden Age, but the Gilded Age, really, where you had these ultra rich, ultra powerful, that conserved all of the wealth for themselves. And it just didn't work. And it never really has worked. And, all empires have always fallen. And I think that is something that's happened to America. Maybe not intentionally. Maybe for some it was intentional. But this rat race and this climbing to the top and climbing on the backs and necks of others to arrive at some massive amount of wealth, and that, once you exceed this limit, then there's another level, and you can never have enough money and you can never have enough things. And somewhere along the way, we got lost. And I think, in a way, as things go, these negative things that happen like this, it makes some people dig deep. And those people that tend to dig deep end up being the ones that sort of reclaim their humanity and ensure that their knowledge is passed to others. And I think, we're an example of that. We're flawed human beings. We come from different backgrounds. We've worked different jobs. In reality, like, some people may look at us and be like, oh, they look the same, but we're really not. But there are things that we value that are shared. And I think right now we're in a rediscovering process of getting your hands dirty, digging in the dirt sort of thing, like getting back to what actually made America great. And unfortunately, it's hard and it's trying, it's exhausting. It's all of those things. So I think what you're doing right now is really valuable, because people are going to need to talk. Mm-hmm. And there's going to be hard things that are going to need to be worked through. Yeah. Because we didn't get here overnight. These types of things, they were not born out of nowhere. And we need to get to the root of the problems that we have, mm-hmm. pluck those roots, and start over. And I don't think any of us really know what that's going to look like. But I was pretty sad, and it was really hard for me for a long time. I'm not saying that I'm not sad, that I don't have my hard moments, but I'm encouraged when I see more people doing things and more mm-hmm. people speaking out, because it makes me feel less alone. And it gives validity to my thought that there was something wrong, like that there was a reason why I decided to speak out. And I think it is true what they say about people being ripples, and ripples turn into tidal waves. And I'm not alone, surely not. But these types of conversations are so important to encourage further ripples.
Yep. Yeah. Yes. To encourage further ripples that influence positivity, that influence connection, that influence humanity, right? Like, we're not always going to get it right. But for goodness sakes, let's not get it very, very, very wrong with consent.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Well, and let's just say that is bipartisan. We're not saying this is for one side. We're saying anyone can do this. But recognize when you see something that's wrong, even if you have to sit with it for a while, like, that it's wrong, either don't do the thing or stand up for, like, do whatever you can to fight against that wrong.
Mm-hmm. Figure out what it is in your sphere of influence that you can do. Yeah. It doesn't have to be dramatic or great or big. What is your sphere of influence? And find it takes courage, right? You have to find the courage. One, you have to be willing to look.
Mm-hmm.
but everybody had their own little corner of genius and everybody had their own way of being influential. It's just a matter of like, what's yours, right? What's yours and how can you use it to fight against that wrong. I found the article that I had been looking for before that was very impactful to me. And it is by Colonel Bree Fram. She's a United States Space Force transgender colonel.
Okay.
And I found a while back when all of this was coming to light, and it really hit me. And it's an article that she wrote called "Leaving the Boots Behind: What's Next?" And it said every time transgender service members were attacked for being who we are, we did what we've always done. We laced up our boots, we went to work, and we accomplished the mission we'd been given by this nation. When the 2017 tweets called us a burden and a disruption that could not be tolerated, we laced up our boots. When the 2019 Supreme Court ruling allowed a ban, we laced up our boots. When 2024 wrapped up with a promise to end quote-unquote transgender lunacy on day one, we laced up our boots. And when 2025's executive order labeled us dishonorable, undisciplined liars, we laced up our boots. Now we're under a policy that doesn't just ban us, but purges those still serving. We've been ordered to set our boots aside. The boots were never just footwear. They were who we are. They represented our service, our professionalism, our unwavering commitment. We wore them in devotion to our country, to mission, and to the people who stood beside us. They stood for an oath we never broke, even as others broke faith with us. I woke up today, looked at my boots, and knew this is where they will stay, unlaced. Not because we failed the mission, but because we're no longer allowed to simply be ourselves. The opportunity and privilege to wear these boots has been ordered away. But because of all other aspects of who I am, because who we are, I am far from done. None of us were trained to surrender. We were trained to seize the initiative and carry the day. So we'll trade these boots for the shoes needed to walk a different battlefield. The fight ahead is for a better tomorrow, for those still serving, for those who dream of serving. For a nation that lives up to its highest ideals, the mission continues. The work remains. Ooh, making me emotional. And so do we. So today begins the work of figuring out what those next steps are. So many of you have asked how you can help, and I'm incredibly grateful, but I've only had generic answers until now. If you want to be a part of support or suggest ideas for what comes next, please consider adding your email here. And I'll be in touch. And then she put a form in there. And that just hits it on the head of like how so many veterans feel like day in, day out, no matter what we're dealing with, like we lace up our boots. And when something that means so much to you and is such a part of your identity gets taken away, it's really, really hard. So I thought that message from her was so powerful that it needed to be read, because not only does it show commitment, it shows the spirit of resilience, and it shows the spirit of of the fight of not laying down, of continuing the mission. There's a word for it, but of strength and solidarity and commitment and resilience. And so there's such a positive undertone in that message, that despite having something being taken away, like there's always a way to continue being who you are and fighting for the right to be who you are, and the freedom to be who you are. And that is, what America can be about. So,
well, I appreciate you reading that and
Yeah.
expressing your vulnerability, because I know that's hard. We're kind of taught just in general, but especially in the military, like stiff upper lip and show no weakness. And
Mm-hmm.
I think it's valuable. It'll be valuable to people to see that that was heartfelt. And what I got from that, what really came to mind when you were reading that, I thought, these are our people,
Mm-hmm.
and we don't leave anyone behind. And what a disgrace to our armed forces and to the people that came before. Like, people must be turning in their graves right now to think we are not just discounting, discrediting, but we are essentially betraying our oath to our fellow members. That's a big part of the military. That's a big part of military families. That you stand up for one another. You don't leave each other behind. And here you have these people that serve their country unselfishly, and they meant it, and it meant something to them. And how dare we take that away from them? Like those
Mm-hmm.
people that they don't have the stones to even sign up, that have an opinion about these things, which I know some people are going to say that about me too. So, have at it. I can take it. I've got a thick backbone. But like, how dare we? How dare we tell someone that has been lacing up their boots like that for so long that you don't matter? Your service doesn't matter. Like, they upheld their oath. They put their lives on the line for fellow Americans to live the freedoms that we enjoy. And how dare we turn our backs on them like that?
Mm-hmm.
I don't care what you look like and what you wear and who you sleep with. Like, that's just part of it. It's part of it. Like, what a bunch of freaking cowards.
Yeah.
And what's that say about you? Like, what's that say about you at any ring, at any level of the military, that you will so easily turn your back on your people? Like, these are your people. And what's that say about your character? I mean, I know what my grandpa would say. He would be like, those are people you can't rely on. Like, they're not going to have your back. They'll be the cowards that turn tail and run. Like, you'll be getting
Yep.
shot at, and they'll be the MOs that are like, all you'll
And at
see
what
are their backsides.
and at what point, and I know you've said this and driven kind of this a similar point home a couple of times, is what point do you get someone who is trans to help understand and be part of the decision, right?
Mm.
Why isn't somebody there who can shed light on that lived experience and what it means to be trans in the military? I mean, there's a 4-star transgender 4-star general. There's this woman colonel who's head of Space Force that worked at the Pentagon, like astronautical engineer. Like, and how do you make that decision without including somebody of the community that you're attacking?
Mm.
So it, it's a little mind boggling to me that those decisions can be made without any inclusivity, without
Well, I'll just say this. I'll boil it
like.
down to as simple as I see it as a civilian, mind you.
Mhm.
Does this make us safer? I say no. I
Okay.
think most Americans, really, at the core of it, if the question is asked like this, are you willing to serve? Are you willing to lay your life on the line? Do you think that you have the mental or physical capability to put yourself in a war zone? Would you be willing to sacrifice your body, your mind, your body parts for your fellow soldiers?
Mm-hmm.
These
Mm-hmm.
are the types of questions that should be asked to the civilian population in advance of the
Mm-hmm.
trans issues. Would you be willing? Would you take their spot? Would you lace up their boots? Would you put on their shoes
Mm-hmm.
and do what they did for all
Yeah.
those years? Could
Yeah.
you? Not just would you, could you? Are you willing to? Would
Yeah.
you be man, woman enough, person enough to sacrifice your life for your country and
Mm-hmm.
really mean it? Like, I'm not a bullshit sort of person, like, as you can tell. I mean, like, have recruiters out there asking these questions. If you are losing military members that are good military members that have proven valuable, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, these people have experience. You have been investing in them. They have a skill set. Have these recruiters go into communities and say, for example, right, we've got 20 trans members in aeronautical engineering, aircraft mechanics, whatever. Go out to the general population and see if you can fill that spot. See if people in the civilian population can satisfy those requirements to take that position with the same amount of knowledge that you are losing.
Mm-hmm.
So now you are losing skill sets that are highly valuable to the mission of the American people.
Yes.
So it is no longer a trans issue, it is a skills issue.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I see it.
Yeah.
Now, I might be a little bit more open minded than most. I would say I probably am. But coming from the type of people that I was raised by, like my grandfather, who was in the military, that would feel the same way, he would be like, right. If you cannot replace one with something that is similar, a similar skill set, you're losing. So we are constantly losing people. And then we are constantly, by these types of restrictive programs, we are losing generations of people. I literally was sitting in a bar the other day. I don't know if I told you this. Stop me if I did. I heard a gentleman next to me telling the bartender that his son wanted to sign up for the military. I can't remember which branch
Mm-hmm.
he said. And he had mentioned that he was a previous military member. And
Mm-hmm.
he told his son, let's not right now. Let's just wait.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think
Yeah.
it's a good time to make that decision. Now, I will tell you with 100% certainty that there is a large number of reenlistments or multi-generational enlistments from previous military families. So when you have he looked straight white military Midwestern man telling his straight white Midwestern son, don't sign up for the military. Like, Indiana is prime pickings for where these recruiters come because they know people have previous military experience, multi-generational experience, or they're just poor, and that's the only way they're getting out. So now when
Right.
you have these people from areas like this being like, no, just wait. This is not the time. If you can't convince those people to sign up, how are you ever going to convince these other people who already have a distrust of law enforcement and now the military to sign up?
Right.
You can't. So this isn't going to be a now problem. This is going to be a generational problem. How are you now going to get people to sign up for the various branches of the military? And of those that are willing to sign up, what's the intelligence rate? What is the skill set? What like caliber of person are you getting into your armed forces?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I doubt it's going to
And
be the most brave.
yeah, and when Or if you do decide to go in, do you trust those people who are in leadership to lead you and have your back and
Right.
support you? Yeah. Yeah. It definitely is a, you know, it'll definitely cause the swing back into an era of little military support.
Well, and not just that. I'm just going to say, I'm going to speak of the elephant in the room. All these people
Mhm.
sitting in Congress, they're not sending their sons or daughters. They'll be the last people to send their sons and daughters because they know better. They know when they get a little bit of money that they basically opt out of the system. Like, you're not getting generally, I don't want to say everybody, I know that's not exactly true, but there's a large percentage of enrollments that come from people that are disadvantaged in some fashion. And there is a large percentage of people that are on some level of immigrant status that are not citizens yet that sign up for the military. So
Mhm.
now you can't have any of them either because they're terrified because you're constantly putting brown people in concentration camps. So you can't, so now you're not touching them. Now you have the people in the Midwest that are like, listen, son, like maybe in 4 or 5 years, like let's go do something else.
Mhm.
Like, where are you going to trudge up these people?
Right. You're going to lose the support of an entire generation of people that is diverse and more progressive in their nature. You're going to lose it. You're going to lose it.
They are the ones that are solving the problems of the future. Our time has passed.
Right.
Like,
We're on our
certainly,
right.
the
We're on our
70
way
and
home.
the 80-year-olds that are sitting their asses in Congress, how could they possibly have any idea what it's
Mhm.
like to live now, to be a young person?
They don't.
They can't.
They don't. And that's where, like, I keep going back to it. Like, at what point does one of them say, we need a perspective of those who are out there right now?
Mm-hmm.
We need to get a pulse on what's out there right now. And
Well, that would take asking and listening, which apparently are very difficult for people right now. The asking and the listening part.
yeah.
To anyone besides themselves, which goes directly against our government was never meant, well, I suppose there's different variations of this, and I'm aware of the history that we're told and that we're taught, and the real history. But
In the right history that happened. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, of the story that we're told that gets people to sign up for the military, for example, this miraculous origin story of, you know, the underdogs defeating the empire, essentially.
Mhm.
And then these young kids see the things that are going on right now. And I literally just saw a video the other day. This kid's walking behind the National Guard in some city. I don't know for sure if
Mhm.
it was DC. And he's playing the Stormtroopers theme. Dun, 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 dun. And I was like, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
for any kid. I mean, those,
Mhm.
us as well.
Yeah.
But these
Kids are
kids
a
are,
little bit of my blind spot. I mean, not completely because I have 7 nieces and nephews that range from
right.
18 all the way to 3. But, you know, they give us a whole new set of wisdom.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and can really, like, if you want to know the truth, talk to a kid.
You know what? You know what kids know? Kids understand that diversity is our superpower. Like, they
Yeah.
also grew up in the superhero generation, but their
Mhm.
superheroes were multi ethnic and
Yeah.
had individual powers that were greater than just Captain America.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
So,
Interesting. Yeah.
And I have to say something that I saw recently that I just thought was hysterical. Clever and hysterical that, our generation probably wouldn't have thought of. I think it happened in Chicago, and there were these
Mm.
group of kids, and they were teasing. I don't know if they were just police officers or ICE agents. I don't remember. But they were dancing instead and teasing them, and they're like, "Come and arrest me, daddy." And I was like, it never would have occurred to me to do that. It was hysterical. They were serious. It was hysterical, but it even made the police laugh. And I was like, they're clever.
Mm.
These kids are
Yeah.
clever. And
Kids are
that's the type of stuff that I'm talking about. Like,
Yeah.
they have a different skill set based upon lived experience that
Yeah.
we could harness and embrace and make us richer, better. Like, we're just really, really missing the buck.
Yeah. I think we need to, one, keep talking about these types of things, but also find those places where we're not missing the
Mm-hmm.
buck, right? Where are we not? Where is connection and curiosity and connection like thriving? And how do we harness that, right? How do we perpetuate that? How do we let that spread? So I don't know. That was just a question that popped into my head. Like, okay, looking at it like almost like an experiment. Like, okay,
Mm-hmm.
where is it thriving? Where are those? Where is the goodness thriving? In things.
Invest in these kids. That's what I say. Like, all
Well,
of our energy should be invested in these kids to make sure, like with some of the recent things coming up, like the
yeah.
Epstein files and the Epstein survivors, for example, our energy should be going towards things like that, right? Like holding people accountable, showing the young people that it doesn't matter how much money you have in this country, that we have
Mhm.
laws and people like all of us have to abide by these laws, that
Mm.
we will keep you safe, that you should be safer now than we were, whether it's from gun violence in schools or SA or whatever. Like, part of our responsibility should be to make them safer so that they can do more things.
Yeah. Tabitha, give me just one moment. I'm so sorry.
You're good. Take a break.
Sorry about that.
No
Um,
worries.
I randomly got delivered a package.
Nice.
So
Purple.
I just on a completely unrelated topic,
That's okay.
I just recently got my hair done and the woman who did my hair just dropped me off some shampoo.
Nice. Special shampoo
But
for the hair dye.
yeah, yeah, how sweet was that? Like she just stopped by and gave me some shampoo that she thought would work well for my hair.
And
Of course, no.
that is an example of something else I was going to say. I think
Oh,
one way that all of us, irregardless of age bracket, can do something is to do good. It doesn't matter
yeah.
what the good is, just do it. Like, do things like that. Like, you weren't expecting it, it made you feel good. Now it will
Mhm.
propel you potentially to do good for other people.
Yep. Just do good.
Yeah.
Just do good. Yep.
I think that might be a good place to end.
Just do good sounds like an amazing place to end.
I think so. Well, I
Yeah,
always
yeah, yeah.
ask people this question.
Okay.
So, if people walk away from this podcast and they don't remember anything else about you, what would you like for them to remember? It can just be one thing, but like, who is Ellerie? What do you want people walking away from this podcast knowing?
Um, oh gosh. That oh, good question. So many things that are popping up. But I think for this one, like we're better together, stay curious and honestly, like if like I'm willing to be a safe place to talk And if I can't be your safe place, I'd be more than happy to help anyone find a place that is safe. So, but yeah, I think if anything, like stay curious and lead with that.
I think that's great. Well, thank you very much for coming on, and I hope you enjoyed it. Hopefully you'll come back again, because I imagine there's going to be lots of interesting things for us to talk about in the future.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome.
We are at a pivotal point in American history. We do not have the luxury to remain silent. Programs are disappearing every day. We hope that this podcast raises awareness and sparks a sense of advocacy in you. We all can make a difference. The important thing is to start. See you next time.